Hola, amiga. Welcome to the Latina Leadership Podcast, a podcast by Latinas for all women. Get ready because today's conversation is really special. Hola, amigas. My name is Edna Mancia. I am your co-host for this latest episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. Welcome back. I'm so excited for this week's guest. If you can go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do.
Hi, thank you for having me first off. Yes, my name is Melissa Rojas. I am owner of Chasing Camilla, which is artisanal women's clothing brand, and the founder of this brand.
I love that. And so I see that you started as a personal assistant in LA and you have a background in fashion. Tell us how that inspired you to get into your own business. How that was your beginning.
Well, my dad is an entrepreneur himself. We're migrant workers. I actually start from the beginning. So you can get kind of an idea. I am born in Michigan. And I did go to college, migrant family. They always instilled going to school. So as soon as I graduated high school, I pursued my dreams, and I always wanted a store also. So I went to college, I graduated, lived in Dallas for about 10 years, and then I really wasn't doing anything with my career, but just doing retail management. And thankfully I was able to move really quick. It came like second nature. Like I was sorry, something came up. I was a manager right as soon as I graduated from, like, after my first year, promoted. So but then the hours, and I felt like I was getting paid $30,000 a year. Graduated from college, I thought, like, when you graduate from college, you think everything's gonna be like in your hands, and I had a reality check really quick, and I was getting paid $30,000 an hour. I mean, sorry, that would be amazing. A year, and um, and I just thought, like, is this what it's all about? This is what I've been working so hard, where I'm working for another brand, and selling my little butt off, because they encourage sell, 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 and that's all that was my tap. I'm like, that's it. So my best friend actually is from California. She moved back to Orange County, and she was like, come crash in our couch, and pursue your dreams. You don't have to pay anything until you start making money. And so I left Texas, went to California, and I lived in the OC. I was commuting to LA, which, give or take, is like a 2-hour drive.
Oh, wow.
But with traffic, I would spend days driving, like, up to 4 hours. And I landed I landed pretty internships pretty quickly, but again, they were internships, not paid. So and they were in PR for a t-shirt brand. And I had another one. I forgot the name, that one, but I was driving to LA basically every day, working for free. And I wouldn't say for free, because I did get a lot out of it. And the PR company happened to be Lindsay Lohan's PR company for her legging company at the time. She had a legging company called 6126, which happened to be Marilyn Monroe's birthday.
Mm.
So they needed a assistant to style one of the lookbooks one of the days, and I almost didn't go because I had a prior commitment to another job. But I was like, wait a minute, this is what I've been this that taught me. I always go back to that moment sometimes, because that was me almost stopping myself from, like, the opportunity, because of either I fear, like, I had a commitment, or subconsciously maybe it was a fear, like, being in my out of my comfort zone. And I had said no first, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what am I talking about? Like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a stylist. At the time, I wanted to be a stylist. And so I went to it. And before that, I had almost given up, because it was already 3 months with, like, not getting paid. I had no money, and I told my best friend like I don't even have money to buy you a birthday gift. Like, you feel I felt like I was failing in life, and again not having money did not help. So I wasn't feeling that great about myself. Um I am still really into gossip television. That's always been the cheeseman part in me. And I was always watching E News, and right before I had to go on that photo shoot, like didn't even know I was gonna go to it. I don't know if it was Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan on TV because they were always on the news. And I'm like, oh, I said it out loud. I could be a great assistant to them, because I'm very calm and patient. So like I'll probably be a good influence. Like that came out of my mouth. Um, and then 2 weeks later, this opportunity came, and I went to the photo shoot. I met Lindsay Lohan, and they hired me on the spot. They're like, "Do you want to be a personal assistant for Lindsay Lohan?" And the next day, I had to show up at noon to pick her up, for lunch, and then that's when I got that gig, um, which was really like intense and really thrown in the lion's den. I really didn't know anything about being a personal assistant. I did learn quickly, and I did realize that um I learned a lot, and it was something that I use to date, because you kind of always had to be like 5 steps ahead of them, and kind of reading their mind, and kind of you're always finding solutions to certain situations. So that like I think that kind of just that's kind of what I needed in life, instead of like staying or settling. If I have a problem, it helps me a lot with the business. So I think that was really one of the turning points in my life where I learned a lot about being out in the workforce and my capabilities. And then after that, like while I was with her, I did get to travel a lot, fashion weeks, and be really involved in like PR, anything having to do with her assisting, styling, whatever it was, personal assistance. A personal assistant basically does everything for them. And so it's like a high intensity job. You really devote your life to it. I didn't have kids or anything, so I was single. I wasn't going to school anymore. I wasn't married or anything. So then after that, that got me into other jobs, where I got to work for like a fashion house called Thomas Wild. That probably was my favorite job because it was really stable and I really liked my boss. So we got to also work with a lot of celebrities, and help with whatever my boss needed. She was the CEO of the company. Um, and then, but yeah, so that's I have a like really big background in fashion. Um, and so I use it also with my business.
That's amazing. You did some incredible, honestly, you were in some incredible spaces, and it's awesome that one is part of your story, and then two, it inspired you to be able to build this for yourself too. I do see you're also very open about some of the hardships you went through. And I want to know how did you find the strength to be able to push through that and to continue moving forward to be able to build your business even during those hardships that you did encounter?
Um, I don't know. Just kidding. I really okay, so I think I've always gone through life like I when I go through something hard, I take it in, right? And then I started I started playing back to my patterns and how I react to certain things. Because that my separation from my ex probably was one of the hardest things at the time. Now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I've been through that. I can go through something worse. I don't wish it upon, even my worst enemy. Um, because I it was really one of my lowest points. Like I talked about like when I felt like I wasn't fulfilling my dreams before I moved to California, not having money. Yeah, I felt bad about myself, but then with him, I felt like I wasn't enough. And the way things happened, it was really traumatizing, and it really woke me up to like if I don't look out for myself, no one else is going to like
Yeah.
because at like he checked out a long time ago, before I even realized it and before I even cared because I think I went through like postpartum and all I really cared about was feeding my child Camila and that I was responsible for her. So she was the one that literally got me up in the mornings and then him cheating, like he cheated. It was just a very crazy time, like very dramatic, traumatic, like a lot of drama. I thought I was crazy. They gaslight you to be like, no, I'm not cheating on you. No, there's no one else. But like all the signs are there, the way they treat you, the evidence, stuff he would buy the other girl or girls. But
Mm.
um so I was going through all of that and on top of that I was freshly a mother. I think Camila was like a year old, not even 2 yet. So we didn't even make it to like our second year marriage and he was like I'm not in love with you like so all of that made me feel like worthless because I'm like, well, how can he not want me? Like I thought I was like beautiful, smart, I'm the mother to his child, like all these things that I would try to reiterate myself and make me believe because I was believing like again that I wasn't worthy. So um I don't know, as soon as I kind of knew the truth, because at first he was kind of lying and we believe what we want to believe, and he was
Yeah.
like, no, there's no one else. I want to work on our marriage. And but there was someone else. I found out. So as soon as I found out, like he still had I still gave him the
Benefit of the doubt.
not the benefit of the doubt, but I knew I wasn't like I knew he was, but again I was like willing to forgive because I had just had Camila, I hadn't lost all my baby fat. I didn't feel like me again. I wasn't working where I was working at their family restaurant, so I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I really didn't. Again, another this plays a lot into where I am now. Like again, I didn't have any money because I would give him my money like we were trying to save money together. We had started a business. I was working at the family restaurant. Like everything had shifted to like what for him, like that was a whole nother wake up call too. Um, so then he still had like the nerve to say like I'm not in love with you, and so I even begged him to stay with me. Like I remember that night vividly because it was when he had already said I'm not in love with you and he was already with someone else and I still begged him. I was like, don't leave, we're your family, whatever. And he was like, no, like like a peacock, like
Yeah.
these men become peacocks, like all these women want me, so I so that was after that. Then I realized, I found like receipts, evidence that he had someone else. So after that, I realized that it was for someone else. So, and he was cheating. Um, so once I realized that, I kind of just made the decision to focus on Camila and what I wanted. But in the back of my mind, I still thought we needed to be at least in the same city. So I was trying to stay in California.
Yeah.
Um, and don't get me wrong, like I had friends and even his family that would be like, stay, we'll help you. Um, which I love his family. That would stay that like they were offering their help, but I really didn't have my family support back there because they live in Texas. And um, did have a lot of like callbacks for jobs. I was going to go back to personal assistant. But they either wouldn't pay enough or the ones I did want would say no. Like I even got to like a fun fact was I got to interview for Jared Leto and I
Oh.
even got to meet him. But it was like the quickest interview ever. I'm like, oh, I guess he didn't like me, you know. And I think that was the last one I went to. And I just thought like, well, what am I doing? Kind of moment. Like
Yeah.
I don't really I like I said, like the way things unfolded just really showed me that. And I don't know how to reiterate it when someone's going through a hard time, whether it's with a relationship or a job or something in life, like no one is gonna look out for you more and than yourself, and no one is gonna pull you out. You know, I wanted like my dad to come tell him off. Like I wanted all these things that I wanted someone to save me.
Yeah.
Um, but nobody really was. Like I was gonna save us or myself. Because I so then after that I made the decision that I gave myself some months that I was gonna move, save some money and move Camila and I and we moved that same year. And then I came back to Texas. I finally could breathe a little.
Yeah.
Because over there I felt like I was just on mode of like go, 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 go. And I finally, when I was home with my family, I could finally like breathe and and have like some peace in my heart. And then, but I wasn't done. You know, I really didn't. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I didn't want to go back to the workforce because before I actually separated from my ex, I had lost my job. That job that I mentioned that I really loved. They let me go because they were going through changes, and so they let go of like half of the company. I don't even know if it still exists, but I think I took that harder maybe because after that I felt like I wasn't able to kind of like recuperate my career. Like I worked for Tilly's corporate for a little bit, um, and then, like I said, I started working for his family's restaurant. And so I really so that was like another letdown I felt like, you know, the corporate world for me in my eyes doesn't mean for everyone because I don't want anyone to that listens to this like I'm gonna quit my job. You know, Melissa told me, but I just felt like I didn't want to also be at someone's beck and call, or not beck and call, but like depending on them. So I felt like I was depending on them, and maybe it felt like that because of what I had just gone through with my relationship, where I'm like I can't depend on anyone. Um, so I kind of knew I kind of wanted to start my own thing. I didn't know if it was gonna work out. You know, at first I feel
Yeah.
people because it was on Etsy, my family members were buying my stuff, like um kind of like, oh, it's her little Etsy shop, and no one really knew what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew that I could, and my family support and like my closest friends were the ones that I told at first, and they pushed me, they supported my ideas and my vision. And so I just I felt like I didn't have anything to lose, you know, because I had already lost everything. And then my mom helped me with the money part. She invested some of her money, and I actually started with like $20 to buy the sarape. That's all I needed because that's what we started making Santa hats with, and I could make, you know, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then I went to my godmother, that's a seamstress, and I would basically spend days with her, like hours of out of the day. Camila and I, since she was little, she was 2, so we would just spend our time with her, and it that like led to the process of me just kind of moving forward and healing. Because I had them, I was working on something that I loved, was raising Camila, I had my family support. I also went to therapy, you know, I started working out more, and like little baby steps, even though at first it might seem like you're not moving forward, um, I it it was really those everyday changes that have helped me get to like where I'm at now.
Wow. Um, that's you made it though. You really did push through some really rough moments. You survived. That's amazing. Because I've seen you thrive. I've seen your business thrive, and I love how far it's come from like the Santa hats to now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like how would you say Camila has played a role in that healing journey though? Because she is your baby girl.
Mhm. Well, she's the protagonist. She's the main one, you know. I I like when I got married, I got married when I was a little bit older. I was 34 at the time. I got to the point where I didn't really want kids because you know, you have your plan when you graduate from college. Nothing worked out the way I envisioned it, by the way, but I had my plan. I was gonna get, you know, I was gonna graduate, have my career, buy my house, like get married, buy my house, and have your 2.5 kids. But
The American dream, yeah.
the American dream, you know, and so by the time I got married, I was considered it's you're considered older, you know, by society standards, and I was like, oh, I don't want to have a kid anymore. Like I still haven't gotten to where I needed to get career wise. And I felt like if I was gonna be pregnant, that was gonna like stop me, you know, or kind of put a pause. But to my surprise, it was probably like the one that gave me fire because obviously I have to provide for her, you know, and so when she was little, I had to worry about who was going to feed her because she couldn't. And
Yeah.
so to a certain extent, I was forced to, because of that responsibility, that's what would help me get up every day. And then as she got older and as I continued my journey, I kind of just I realized that I am responsible for this little being, but I have to I want her to have a better life. Not that I had a horrible life. Like I have great parents. They did what they and they still do, you know, the most for me. But I want her to have a strong mind for when anything happens to her and that she can provide for herself and have and just fulfill her dreams.
Yeah.
I think that helps me because she's watching me, so I want her to see, you know, that it is a beautiful life and that she
Yeah.
is capable of like anything.
And that's where the name Chasing Camila comes from.
Mhm. Yeah, because I did have a blog that didn't go anywhere when I lived in California. I was chasing clothes that my best friend helped me with the name. She came up with the name, you know, because it was about fashion. But it really I made back then I feel I didn't have the push or like the knowledge or the I don't know where I was. I was focused on boys probably. I don't know where I was. Um now so then Camila once I had Camila and I was trying to think because I started the business before I even thought of the name. It wasn't until like the following year where I'm like, okay, it's time for a name. I don't know what to call it. So we were again I was probably brainstorming. I think I was brainstorming with my best friend and we were brainstorming names and it just made sense. I wanted it to be about Camila and like my cultura because
Okay.
the logo is her little face when she had a little pixie haircut when she was up until 2 or 3. And I loved it with her little pixie haircut. Now she won't, you know, but turquoise is my favorite color and it's a calming color. It brings like it's just calm.
Yep.
So I know that's really important when you create a logo. Certain colors mean something. Like that's why McDonald's has theirs. It's like those colors bring you happiness. And so, but it was also about sarape. And so the little heart on her head is it's an actual shape of a sarape. It's the colors and also to like kind of show the love a mother has for their child and vice versa. So that's the logo, which I was really happy with. A girl named Susana from California did it for me. Now that Camila is older, I go back and forth with like kind of changing it, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
But it was really about it is Chasing Camila. It is really about sarape. That's how I started with. I know now I work with a lot more different fabrics and even import other things. I'm most known about the crop guayaberas, like all these things, but the heart of the business is Camila and sarape.
That's really cool how like it's all tied in together. Especially it's the love of the family, the love of culture. And so what what advice would you give moms who want to launch their own business but they don't know where to begin? Because I know being a mom and having a business is hard. So how what advice would you give them?
Um, I and the advice I would give you is once you have your idea like what it is, let's just say you just want to do Mexican blouses, um then do that and focus on that first, because I've made a lot of mistakes. And at first, once people were asking me to bring in Mexican stuff, so I started bringing in, because I would make all my stuff. My godmother and I would make all our stuff first, and then they wanted Mexican items, and I started bringing them, and I don't regret that. But like I wanted everything, like boys, men's, and so I felt like I was all over the place. And now I know what sells for me, and it's really like, how are you gonna stand out? Like, I know what sells for me. Everything I sell is something I would wear. It sounds selfish, but like I have to be able to sell it. I'm not gonna sell you something that I won't wear unless it's kids' clothes, but because I do carry kids' clothes, but everything I carry is something that I would wear and I would style, because that's also part of like what Chasing Camila is about. Like, how am I gonna style this Mexican piece for the modern woman like me, so I won't feel that I can only wear it for Cinco de Mayo or 16 de Septiembre, kind of incorporated in everyday fashion or trends. Um, so we could wear it too. So that's another way where I stand out. So that would be my advice. Um, and then the other is just be consistent, because I do get questions of like about my business and like what advice I would give them, and I give them advice, but I don't see them doing anything, or they get discouraged, or they're not consistent. Consistency is really important. Like, just kind of like when you're gonna work out, if you're gonna eat healthy, you're gonna start seeing the changes if you're consistent about it. Um, so consistency is key, whether it's on social media, because it's social media has been like a great factor for my business. And so I'm constantly always, every day I post almost at the same time,
Yeah.
um, and stuff like that, and get yourself the tools that you need in order to change with the times, because it's not always going to be the same thing. Like, I've had to pivot so many times. There was a pandemic, then there was after the pandemic, and aside, then there was markets, and after markets, like, you're not going to depend on markets all the time. So and stuff like that. I mean, well, that's a whole nother side, but there's more to Chasing Camila, of like what I do and who I work with, to make profit. But I think consistency has been a key factor.
That's a good point. Consistency is something that you kind of have to be in order to be see results happen, and that's really good advice to be able to give people, because some people, if they don't see it immediately, but it's, unfortunately that's the age that we live in, the immediate results.
Yeah, instant gratification.
That's
And
the instant gratification. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but what would you say is some of the most rewarding moments you've noticed for yourself as a business owner?
Um, it has given me like the life that I envisioned. Like, I always wanted to be a buyer for like Neiman Marcus. Like that was one of my goals, go travel the world and source things that could be carried. And so kind of like um inspire for fashion. So it's really rewarding to be able to do that for myself,
Yeah.
where I provide it for myself, where I get to travel and source for women, and they're really happy with like I can tell, like for instance, the crop guayabera has been like a big hit and the women feel like empowered, so little things like that. It wasn't a little, like things like that are very rewarding, and I can take Camila with me, and like I have given us a future, with, and it's really the most money I've made. Forget those $30,000 a year that I made when I first got out of college, and that's because it was, I had a degree. But
Yeah.
now, like what we're that was a mentality I had, and so it's shown me to kind of think bigger and have bigger dreams, even if it sounds crazy at the time. So it's kind of been rewarding to for that, to see the customers. And also now I'm starting more like I've traveled a lot this year,
Yeah.
and I question sometimes, like there always has to be like what's next. You always have to like keep on going. And I kind of question, there was a moment where I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, because I don't have a brick and mortar, and in the back of my mind that's been like a dream, but I also like to always travel. So how is that even going to be possible? And so that's why online it has been key. But I've the people that I've met, the artisans that I've worked for with, um, and changing lives, and vice versa. Because they have their business, they have their product that they sell,
Yeah.
and just them. There's been a few, like at least three, two this year, and then another one that I reconnected with in Oaxaca that I still buy from them, and for more than 5 years, for 5 years. And she was saying that she was in a turning point where she had just her business had just uh burned down, like wherever they were at, like so they lost everything, so they had to start from zero again. And they just happened to be that they met me and my other friend that I travel with, Arlene, and around that time they just had a table, and we bought, like I order a lot from them when they've helped me with like there was a conference I did, the We All Grow Latina conference, and they accepted like an idea that I had, but I was gonna have to pay for it out of my own pocket for their swag bags. And so I so my idea was that some earrings, with the word of the theme of the conference. And that artisan, her name is Ila, she made it for me, her and her mom, and it was like 600 earrings, and so um orders like that I'm able to make and provide, because obviously I still have to pay them, and provide for them, like things like that. She said that made her realize that she was doing the right thing, because she was actually gonna thinking of doing something else, because
Oh.
their thing had already burned, so they had to start from the beginning. And she has a degree, her and her mom have, like, they're really intelligent women, they both have higher education, but she was contemplating, like, not even doing that anymore, and now they have like a very successful business. It's crazy how much they've grown, and so they were able to share that with my parents, because I went with my parents to Oaxaca we just got back, and so they were just sharing that their because other business, we help out each other at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they help me, I help them, like, I will never be like, because of me they got to where they are, like, no, it's because of them, like, just like whoever's helped me. Yeah, I've had a lot of help along the way, but um at the end of the day, it's you get yourself where you need to get, like, because of you have to believe in yourself, and they believed in themselves. um and so that's very rewarding too.
Yeah.
um because it's like there's a purpose, in my life, and I'm kind of slowly figuring that out. Like I also put on events, every so often, once a year, and for the community to either be educated in something. Like we're doing another event in September, and it's to educate women in finance and mental health and stuff like that. So like stuff like that where I feel like there's a purpose and we're bringing something of value to the community, um it's also very rewarding.
Oh, that's yeah, you're doing some amazing work in the community, which I love that you're able to be also a resource to other women as well, especially with finances, which is something that like we don't really talk about a lot either and we don't really know about. So it's great that you're able to put that on and so like what message of hope do you have for women to take away from hearing your story?
um I think my message goes back to what, with the advice, what I talked about earlier, which like no one's gonna pull you out by yourself, but it like all these everything goes like together. Like you have to believe in yourself. You have to realize that you're stronger than even what you sometimes believe, and you really just have to take a day at a time, because it's not always going to be easy, and if and you're going to go through hard things, but you you have to really just believe in yourself, and pull yourself out. It doesn't mean I'm not telling you to not cry. I'm not telling you to like not go through the motions. I went through the motions, and it's an everyday thing, because happiness. I used to think that like people need to be happy every single day. Like, but it's not. It's not realistic. Like you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna be let down. Whatever, you're in a struggle, but you have to really just take it a day at a time, and do the work,
Yeah.
because it goes back to like when you give your girlfriends advice. Sometimes they ask me for advice, and I'm like, you're really asking the single girl for advice. You're like, I don't know anything. Clearly I'm single. But it's like we have to, especially when you're um when you're an independent woman, you provide for yourself, and then you struggle, but keep going back to the same relationship. I can only tell you so much, but
Yep.
you have to do it and believe your self-worth, and it's hard. I find myself at times still even doubting it, so I get it. I really do, but you have to really believe your self-worth, and pull yourself out of that situation, because you can give yourself the life that you really envision, like that you really do envision. And I'm a living example from it. There's still things I still need to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. My life isn't perfect. It hasn't been easy, but I know that the life I have, like being able to travel with both my parents, I love to travel, and then being able to do that with them, both of them, I still have them with Camila, is my dream. It doesn't have to be anyone else's dream. Like people ask me too, like, are you going off the subject, like, do you want to get married again? And it's just like, I don't, I don't think so. I don't think that's my dream anymore. I think at one point it was, and I don't think I don't think that's I hope I maybe one day I'll find someone that would bring balance to my life and value, but I really it's not like before where I'm like, you need to get married,
Yeah.
you need to find a provider, all these things that are like sometimes it doesn't work out for you. Like it's just Camila and I'm in the provider for her. So that's my reality. And to even think of like depending on someone else for that, it just doesn't even cross my mind. But I think it's that. If anything, it's just really to believe in yourself. And it's okay to have those bad moments and go through the motions. It really is, but no one's gonna pull you out but yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. You have to be your fighter, the one who's telling yourself how to, you're giving yourself self-worth. You can't find external validation and expect that to, help you out. It can only do so much.
Yeah, it can only do so much, and we can't give our power, and I speak from experience. I gave my
Yeah.
power to many people, not just my ex, but it just um we can't give our power away. Like, we have to. It's just crazy how much I've learned. Like, I really thought I was going crazy when I was going through the separation. Like, and the way I would react was like uncontrollable, in the sense of like begging someone to like stay with me. Like, I couldn't even imagine like doing, like, yeah, even like if let's just like in the business world, like if someone doesn't know work with me, like on to the next, like it just, I couldn't even with dating, like, okay, we don't like each other, okay, move on. Like, it just, and so it really, I guess those hard times, or those failed, or when I have failed in life, have really been the lessons. Like, what are you gonna learn from it? And move. What are you gonna take from it, and move forward? If not, then what's the point of like all that suffering? Because if not, then I'm a masochist. Then,
That's true.
I mean, I don't know. I just say that, but uh, yeah, I think that's like the main advice. And it's easier said than done. I know, like, pull yourself out, especially if you're in a situation where you're like extremely where you feel sad or whatever, but it does get better. It really does. It really does. And then you get to create the life that you want. Like, I wasn't making any money from the beginning. I never once did I think about giving up, but I wasn't making any money, and it wasn't until the second year. Um and I just there are just different ways that you have to bring in money. Like, I work with universities too, wholesale, like during seasonal times, like obviously from February to June, for graduations, I work directly with universities and provide graduation stoles. Like, all these things I learned from my past jobs, like those ideas of like, how am I gonna make more money? And so, aside from like the pop-ups that I do once in a while in the busy seasons, or my online, there has to be different ways, because there's so many of us out there nowadays, I feel. So it's just like, how are you gonna stand out, and not compare yourself
Yeah.
to others, because that's not gonna get you anywhere. I know that's always like a controversial topic of like certain people copying each other. But I was like, aren't we all? Because it's like we're bringing stuff like, I bring stuff from Mexico. I don't claim it's mine, but like, aren't we, to a certain extent, like,
Yeah.
because we're not the ones making it. Granted, there's stuff that my madrina and I do make, but even then, I make it from sarape, which is from it's a historical textile from Mexico. So
Yeah.
all these things, like, if we, especially with Latina, sometimes I feel, because trust me, I'm guilty. At first, I was of like comparing myself, and like, why does that person have that, or that
Yeah.
person copied? But I've learned that like it's just better to support each other, and we each stay in our own lane, and just kind of like, that's how we help each other out. Like, if we would just support each other more, instead of like feeling like competition and talk. I don't know. It's just, there's been some situations
Oh,
um
sure.
where I just feel like, especially because there's a lot of us now, but there's always gonna be competition. I
Always.
mean, there's always. So I've learned to kind of like kind of be a girl's girl. And that's why we create like these events and stuff like that. Like, that's why I like to work with influencers from San Antonio, because I'm always over there. Like all those, even when I first started, I would work with influencers from each city, like Houston, Laredo, Dallas, and kind of just work with each other,
Yeah.
and build those relationships. Uh, that has helped also grow my business.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right about not looking at it as competition and not having to compare yourself because nobody you're doing your own thing and you're doing it for a reason and a purpose, and that's what's important is the goal that you're personally reaching and staying in your own lane. And I'm happy to see how it's helped to grow your business and your proof of, how being a girl's role and being non-competitive and working together and actually supporting each other in a community helps to build that. You're 100% proof of that. And uh so I do want to be able to ask though in all of this to be able to tie it together. This is Angelica's favorite question, by the way. Do you consider yourself a leader?
Yes, I do consider myself a leader,
And why?
in the sense of like, I feel like I've stayed in my own lane. It's taken me a while. Like I said, it hasn't been easy, but I feel like I've stayed in my own lane as far as like I the type of business that I have, and like always trying to be innovative and come up with certain ideas, whether I think the styling aspect has really been one of the like a backbone on my business. Those videos where I show and share to women on how to style, um, and incorporate our culture and make it a little bit more modern. So I think I'm a leader in that aspect, and I'm trying to do more for the community instead of like just offering a product. Um, and at first, I feel like at first everyone, not everyone, I feel people would be what are really supportive, and they're like, you be carrying this product like the guayabera
Yeah.
makes a difference. And at first I was like, oh, whatever, like not whatever, but I didn't, not that I didn't believe it, but I didn't really see it. But so then once I started like more just talking more to my customers, because I do try to build, that's why I like to do the in-person events, to try to build my relationship with my customers. Some of them have become really good friends. But now I see it as like kind of like leading as far as my when it comes to like styling and inspiring women through fashion with
Yeah.
cultura. I think there.
Absolutely. Yes, everything you're doing is all leadership qualities and everything that you do. And you're able to be that example to your daughter, on how to be a leader. I'm excited to see what your daughter does in the future as well. Whenever if she does decide to have her own business, but if not, we'll see what she decides to do too, since you are being that role model. And where can our audience find you? If they want to find you, if they want to purchase anything, if they want to follow your journey, if they want to, say hi, how can we get connected?
So you can shop my items at chasingcamilla.com. You can stay in the know with my social media, on Instagram at Chasing Camilla, and on TikTok at Chasing Camilla. Um, that's where you can, and that on my Instagram, I usually announce my live sales, which have, done really well. I try to have them weekly, but then sometimes when I travel, I can't or whatever. So the lives are always good to get like your hands on new one of a kind items, and kind of just to find out the cheese melt, what's going on next, because we have so much coming up next. I'm even gonna go back into giving group tours to Mexico, but that's 2026. So there's like a lot coming up, events, the tours, and then of course my items and collections. This year we're having like a first um Dia de Muertos collection where it's gonna be like a whole, more than 12 pieces and everything. So I'm excited to release that. But to stay in the know, I would go to chasingcamilla.com and subscribe to my email so you can get the emails. And then, of course, on Instagram at Chasing Camilla.
There you go. And I thank you so much for, joining us today. This was such an exciting conversation that we had. And amigas, you heard her. This is Melissa Rojas, and you'll be able to find her at chasingcamilla.com and at Chasing Camilla on all social channels. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, amiga.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in this amazing conversation today. If you need more information or resources, as always, they'll be in the description below. Please don't forget to follow us everywhere at Latina Leadership Podcast to stay updated with our latest releases, events, and more. We'll see you next time.